it's Shel C from Paper Rock Teo Studio, and today I'm bringing you a project that I made for a Valentine swap hop with the Fab4 Creates group. There's 4 of us, and each of us sent something to another person. There needed to be 5 things at least in the envelope, and then we were to use at least 3 on our project, and then post on Valentine's Day, so that's what we're doing. Here I'm opening my envelope from Sherry, and I decide not only do I like the stuff that's inside, but I also think I want to use the stuff that's on the outside, the envelope and the washi tape that was on the back. And I have this 97-cent heart frame made out of wood that I got at Walmart. And I thought it would be fun to do something besides a page or a canvas and to actually make a little gift. Not sure who I'm going to give it to, but I've made it. And it was really fun. So I started out with this wood piece and I sanded it because it had a lot of dings and chips in it. You know, it's just in a plastic thing over there at the Walmart, and it gets tossed around and dinged up, and it's just made out of pine wood. But that's what you get for 97 cents. I mean, you know, can't really complain for 97 cents. So I went ahead and used some acrylic gesso on it at first because I knew that the wood would be very absorbent to anything that I put on it. So I wanted to give it a little coat of sealer before I started. And also, I really wasn't sure what I was going to do, and so I just figured always gesso, that's something that you can do, and that never fails. So then I dried it. Then I decided I wanted to collage it because you know how much I love to glue paper onto stuff. I just love it. So I decided to use this, I believe it's a cleanup paper, maybe from jelly printing, not sure. But anyway, it's pinks and purples and a little bit of kind of a plum color, and it's pretty. And I decided to use it, and then the envelope, which has a doily stencil that's been sprayed, I think with probably color bloom sprays, because I know Sherry uses those a lot. And it's shimmery. It's got mica in it, and it's kind of a pink color that matches the paper. So what I'm doing is tearing it and then applying little pieces and making it kind of look like a mosaic. It's a paper mosaic, I guess. And this cleanup paper has a lot of different colors and different spots. Like there's some darker ones and lighter ones, and there's a little bit of a pattern that I think was from a stencil cleanup. I also decided to use the white mulberry paper because I figure that will make an interesting texture if I collage it on. And I'm using, I don't think you can even see in the pictures, let alone in the video, but I'm using this DecoArt collage page that has a very, very fine glitter in it. And I think that's just so cool to have glitter in your glue. It's a glitter glue, but it's hard to see even as I'm looking at it. It's kind of hard to see, but it adds a little bit of sparkle and shimmer without being, you know, crazy. I mean, it doesn't just scream glitter. You know what I'm saying? So this process is so relaxing to me, and I go ahead and wrap the paper around the edges of the wood as well on the inside and the outside because the wood is still kind of rough even though I've sanded it. It's I don't know, 97 cents. It's what you get for 97 cents. But wrapping the paper around it makes it a lot more soft, and it's not going to splinter or, you know, get a sliver in whoever receives it in their fingers. So this is what I do. I love doing this. And even after I finished a section, I go back and add, if I think there's like a spot that's missing a darker color or a lighter color, or it seems like it's not blending with the whole, you know, you kind of step back and take a look at it and then maybe add a piece here and there. I also do tear up that little piece of heart washi tape and add those in as well in a bit. They're more of a peach color, so that adds another color into the palette. I'm not going to make you watch this whole thing. Yeah, there we go. I knew it was going to go eventually. I turned off the camera and then just turned it back on when I was about ready to finish. So now you can see those gold hearts with on the peach background have been added in. There wasn't very much of the tape, so I just kind of tore them up and put them in to add a little bit of interest. Another overused phrase, a little bit of interest. I'm adding a little bit of interest to my background. How many times have you heard that? The mulberry paper ends up having like strings and strands, so it's actually adding texture more than I expected, and the color of it doesn't really show up because it's white. But the red mulberry paper didn't match with the pinks and purples, and so I didn't want to use it. I ended up not using it, but I didn't have to use every single thing in the envelope. So almost done with the collaging part here soon. This is where I'm looking at the whole thing and saying, oh well, it's really light in that section, I'll put this color, or this side doesn't have any pink, you know, kind of filling in. And then I'm looking at these little punched out cardstock hearts, and I decide to use the pink ones and then the ones that have the burgundy text on them. The other one was too red, but the burgundy or red text was okay. It didn't, you know, you can't really see that the color is not really in the colors, if you know what I mean. It looked fine. I was just trying to decide, am I making a pinkish purple project, or am I making a red project, or, you know, there was both in the envelope. There's also all these little buttons and a couple silver hearts, and I wanted to use those. I was just trying to decide if I should put that Cupid on there, and I didn't think I should. So I decided to go ahead and use this little other piece that's probably from the same set. It's got a little picture on it, but the picture's not going to show. I just wanted the frame as part of the design element. What I'm going to end up doing is making an assemblage type of a project, which this is the first one I've ever made. I know there's a lot of them out there that are called mixed media. Basically, mixed media just means you've mixed everything together. There's not one right or wrong way to do mixed media. All that means is just a general term that you didn't stick with one medium all the way through. You didn't use just oil paint, or you didn't use just acrylic paint, or you didn't use just watercolor. You mixed everything together. And a lot of the stuff that you'll see when you search mixed media is really what I call assembly, where you're putting a lot of things together and then maybe putting gesso over it and spraying it, and those are really pretty. It's just not something I've really ever done that much, but that's what this one's going to end up being. So at first I was going to use texture paste through the stencil because I thought that would add a little bit more, you know, feely texture to it, but there was already enough feely texture with the collage and the mulberry strands, and so I decided instead to use gold paint. This is a PBO acrylic paint through my very favorite in the whole world stencil, which is that Harlequin. Then I have this punch that I got at Tuesday Morning. If you guys ever go to Tuesday Morning, you know there's these things and you see them and they're so inexpensive compared to what they normally would be, and you're thinking, I just have to have that. This punch punches out petals, and then you're supposed to be able to assemble it into a flower. There's no directions. I'm not really sure. I mean, I know that I have a bunch of petals here in different sizes, but I'm not really sure exactly what I'm doing with them. I don't know how you're supposed to attach them, I guess, is what I'm thinking. So I decide I'll use hot glue and just kind of build up the flower from the base. So I start sorting, and I use the biggest ones on the bottom, and then just, you know, go smaller, 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 which turned out okay. I don't know if that was the intention. I think you could probably make different size flowers by just using all the ones that are a certain size. I'm not really sure how it was supposed to work, but it worked out fine. I think they probably should have put some directions on the packaging, and then maybe that would have sold well and it wouldn't have been on clearance at Tuesday morning. Maybe. I don't know. So I'm using the rest of that paper that is the cleanup paper. It was on a text weight, like something from a printer maybe, or it was a pretty lightweight paper, so it works fine for this. And then it's just got the acrylic paint on it. Start with the biggest ones at the bottom and get stuck to my sheet there, which worked pretty well, but then when I lifted it up, it kind of, I don't know, it kind of fell apart. First time I've ever made this type of flower, so I'm not really sure what I'm doing. I like the different colors. The instead of using one solid color of paper to do this, I think it turns out really well if you use a multicolored paper like that. I bet it'd be pretty on with a marbled paper or maybe some type of a scrapbook paper. I don't know. But that is what it ends up looking like. Well, then I add some other colors to it. And now I'm adding some shading. And I start with kind of a real pink purple, like a blue toned purple pen. These are my pit pens. They're India ink. So they're permanent. And then I go and change it to like more of a burgundy purple, a much warmer color and a little bit darker. And because there's glue in the collage stuff all over that, it's very easy to blend with my finger. It gives you a couple seconds in which you can just rub your finger and blend. And that really makes the hearts and the frame stand out more. Now it occurred to me that I want to use those little silver heart charms, but they're silver, and I've just put a bunch of gold paint all over the project. So I just use the gold paint and just kind of sponge over the top of them and change them into gold. Worked really well. And then I was trying to change the red buttons into a different color, and they're very plasticky, so things weren't sticking and things weren't covering, and so I did end up changing them. But I don't know, it might peel off. I'm not really sure. It could really peel off. But they were red, and I wanted them to be purple or pink or something. And then because I had that magenta paint out, I touched up the very edges of the petals with the color. And now I decided, okay, I'm going to put gesso on the buttons. What I really needed to do probably was sand them and give them a rough texture, because nothing sticks to that plastic. We all know that. But I was doing my best. Then I decided I want some more flowers. So I go get my box of paper flowers. Both these sets of flowers are from Michael's. And I get out a few that I like. And then I get out all my pinky purpley colored Tattered Angels ink sprays, because I have them. And I have a lot of different colors of pinks and purples in those. So I'm just kind of laying them over the frame to see if they'll match. And then I get some spray paper, which I've already been spraying things on. That's going to end up making some really pretty collage paper. It's got all kinds of pinks and purples and very shimmery stuff, because the Tattered Angel sprays are full of a very fine mica, and so they're very shimmery. At least the ones that are called Glimmer Mist are. And they come in tons of colors. Just tons. I mean, look how many different pinks and purples I have, and that's not even all of them. That's the Glimmer Glaze that I put on that one button. It comes with its own little brush inside the bottle, and it has mica. And these craft colored ones one has text and one has polka dots. They're kind of cool, but putting the sprays on them made them pretty dark. So I kind of wish they were a little bit lighter. They did lighten up when they dried. And don't worry, I didn't waste that big puddle of glimmer mist there. I put some tags through it. I just didn't show it on the video. So I'm trying to lighten some of these up. And so I've got Heidi Swamp spray that's a gold, and so I'm spraying that over the top. And then I'm also trying a white over that one, but it really didn't work. So there's my flowers. And I use a heat tool to dry them because I'm impatient. I can't wait for them to dry on their own. And I did spray the buttons over the gesso. It worked okay. Should have sanded them. Okay, now for the assembly part. At first I was going to do it with hot glue, but then I changed my mind because I was using some of those metal pieces and decided to use the, what's it called? 3D gloss gel from Prima. I got out some extra stuff that I had. All these things are things that I got at Tuesday Morning. I don't ever really buy this stuff except for when it's ridiculously low priced and I can't stop myself from doing it. And I got those two little metal heart charms that I painted gold as well. A couple brads. Those are a Prima product too. At Tuesday Morning for really inexpensive, like $1.24 or something. And then I've got these heart lock and heart key. I actually think I might have gotten these at Hobby Lobby, maybe. Not sure. But anyway, I was trying to do lots of Valentine projects, and so I collected things up, and they're still all out. All the Valentine stuff is still out. So there's my hot glue gun. I'm thinking I'm going to hot glue, and then... No, I don't think I will. I think I'll get rid of that and use the 3D gloss gel instead. So how do you do this? You just take a palette knife and you just put it on there like butter. That's basically what you do. I'm buttering my flowers. It works really well once it's dry. It's there. It's stuck. It's not coming back off. Was trying to decide where to put the lock. I think I tried it in several different places and decided to put it there. I wanted a balance. I've got kind of 3 different clusters. The one at the bottom right side is kind of the ground, but then your eye travels to the other 2 areas, so it gives you kind of a little visual tour of the whole project. I really do like how that, I guess it's a rose, it's probably some type of a cottage rose, turned out with the painted paper. I'll probably make more of those at some point with my new punch. Now that I have it, I should probably use it. Yeah, then I thought that there was a bare spot right there. It was bothering me, and so I was looking for something to put there. And I found these little spiral paper clips that were in a kit thing from Stampin' Up! Several years ago. And they're kind of an antiqued gold, and I decided to use those in 3 different places. And I think they look really cool. And that was kind of an afterthought, but I like them. Then I also have some micro beads. Now I've had these things for, I don't know, 20 years. And people are using these things now. Now I know what to do with them. Once you have your 3D gloss gel on there and there's some spots where it's sticking out, where it's not, where it's still showing. I mean, it's gonna dry clear, so it wouldn't show per se, but it is a gloss gel. And if you pour those beads over it, then they stick in different places, and it just adds an extra thing to your design. I also spilled them. I'm not going to make you watch me clean all this up. Man, they were everywhere. These things are crazy. Tiny little beads. I mean, really tiny little beads everywhere, all over my desk, all over my lap. It was a mess. They were hard to get back in the bottle, but then I decide after I've already cleaned them up that I want some to be like dewdrops on the edge of my flower. So I have to get them back out and make another mess. But this time at least I didn't spill them. They're pretty crazy, but fun. I'm going to have to let this dry, which I let it dry for a while, but not completely dry. And then I decide I want to put some Inca Gold on there. And this one is called Antique Silver, I think, but it's actually just a light gold. Does silver ever turn gold when it tarnishes? I guess it kind of does. I don't know. But I put this around the edges of the frame just to kind of frame it in, and then also around the inside edge. I believe it's metallic pigment blended with beeswax. So you just kind of rub it on. It's kind of interesting stuff. I do end up painting the back of this with razzleberry craft paint. I think it's an apple barrel one maybe. And also that little pin thing. And then I use a piece of packaging that I save the packaging to make into stencils, like clear packaging. And I use that inside insert to cut out a plastic because there was nothing to cover the picture once you put a picture in there. It would just be exposed. So I put a piece of plastic in there, and then I also then made a cardstock, a pink cardstock back that will go behind the picture. Now I just have to find a picture and decide who to give it to. I hope you enjoyed this. Thanks. Bye-bye.